Hi everyone, and welcome to this Q&Ada. My name is Dr. Ada, and I'm your cheerful email analytics expert. I work exclusively with businesses who are already using email marketing and want to get better. The problem my clients face is that they aren't quite sure how to get better results. They want clear feedback on the good and the bad of their existing emails, and they want easily actionable advice so that they can improve. I have a unique data-based approach that gives them the information they want and they need. So specifically, through analyzing their email analytics data, I can help my clients discover what they need to keep doing, the stuff that's working really well with their existing audience, what they need to start doing, these are the opportunities that they have to improve, and what they need to stop doing, the stuff that's just not working and not resonating with their audience. I combine my PhD in engineering, my strength in empathy, and my experience as a professor to deeply understand email marketing and use this information to help my clients interpret their treasure trove of email marketing data. And the result is that I can help my clients build personalized action plans so that they can improve their emails. During this Q&Ada video, I'll answer a question I received, and along the way, I'll share additional resources that you can access if you want to go deeper or learn more about this topic. If you're watching this video inspires a question in you, I would love to hear it. Please use the link on the screen. It's also in the description of this video to submit your question for me to answer. Okay, so now what is today's question? Today's question is, what's a good open rate? And that's an amazing question. If you're marketing with email, it's so important to understand how people are opening your emails, because opening your emails is often the very first step. So no matter how great the stuff in your email is, no one will see it unless they open. And looking at your open rates can help you understand what encourages your subscribers to open and what may detract or discourage them from opening. But before I dive into this answer, I must compliment the question asker, because it's great that you asked about open rates and not the number of opens. Comparing open rates is a way to get an apples to apples comparison across all of your emails in a way that comparing the number of people that have opened an email just won't work. It won't do. So if you are interested in learning why, check out my Analytics Essentials PDF opt-in. It's free. A link to it is in the description for this video, and it includes a lot of really great information, including an example that shows why you don't want to compare the number of people that open emails, but instead you want to compare open rates. Okay, so with that, let's dive into the answer to this question. I'm going to answer it in 3 parts. The first is I'm going to describe what is an open rate and the open rates I like to use for myself and my clients. The next is, what does an open rate tell you about an email? Give some really juicy and fantastic information I'll share with you. And then the last part is how to identify which of your emails are good and which of your emails are bad when it comes to open rate. So by addressing each of these 3 parts, hopefully I'll give you a good comprehensive answer to what's a good open rate. Okay, let's dive in with part 1. What is an open rate? There are actually several different ways that you can calculate an open rate, but for myself and for my clients, I like to focus on the rate that's on the screen. I call it an open to receive rate, and you calculate this rate by taking the unique number of opens. This is the number of unique subscribers that have opened an email divided by the unique number of subscribers that have received the email. Now, the recipients here are the number of people that were sent the email minus any bounces. It's important to confirm with your email service provider how they calculate anything that they might report as an open rate, so that you know what you're looking at. Not every email service provider calculates the open rate in the same way. For example, some providers may include the number of emails that bounced in the numerator. It's important to think through before you're really looking at any of your email analytics data and understand what the numbers actually mean, because every email service provider may calculate things differently and give it the same label. But for this video and for this answer, we're going to use this definition as open to receive rate or for the remainder of the video. Okay, all right, so that finishes part one, defined what an open rate is. We're going to use this open to receive rate. And now we can move into step and part number two. What does an open rate tell you about an email? I focus on the open to receive rate because it maps directly to one of the four key areas of an email, the subject. Now, the subject, as you can see on the slide, is the second of the four key areas of the email. And the PDF that I described earlier, that essential guide to email analytics, it describes all four parts of the email rather. And again, there's a link in the description if you're interested in checking it out. Now, the open to receive rate is the best metric to understand the effectiveness of the subject, and it zeroes in specifically on the effectiveness of the subject. So hopefully this example will help illustrate why. Let's say we have two emails, email 1 and email 2, and they have the unique opens, unique recipients, and unique sent numbers as listed here on the slide. Okay, we can calculate a couple of different rates given these numbers. Now, at first glance, you may say email 1 is a stronger email because the number of opens are greater and the open rate is also greater. However, when you look at the open to receive rate, you actually start to understand that email 2 has something special that email 1 just quite doesn't have. Its open to receive rate is better because almost everyone that had a chance to open email 2 did, and that is much higher than email 1. And this example hopefully illustrates why I'm really excited about looking at open to receive rates when we're looking at email analytics, as well as when we're really focused on the subject and understanding what kinds of subjects resonates with the audience and what kind of subjects don't. So when it comes to open rates and this open to receive rate that I've described a little bit earlier, the higher the better. Ideally, 100% would be ideal. And that means that every single person that gets the email would open it. But that's not quite realistic. It's very unlikely, and it doesn't often happen that every single person that receives an email opens it. But it is something that we aim for, and it's important to know that the maximum that you can achieve when it comes to an open to receive rate is 100%. Okay, that ends part number 2. So let's move into the last part. How to identify which of your emails are good and which of your emails are bad when it comes to open rate. So what some people might say to this is they throw out a number, a benchmark for an industry or a benchmark across all industries in terms of email marketing. And actually, I am going to discourage you against looking at benchmarks for 2 reasons. The first is no one else has your same exact list, and nobody else has the same exact relationship that you have with your list. That's something unique between you and the subscribers on your list. The second is I'm a big believer in this phrase. It's all about being better than you were yesterday. So when you compare yourself to a benchmark, it doesn't give you that much more to move forward with or to do. You don't really have an understanding of, why am I performing worse or why am I performing better than the benchmark? However, when you look at your own data and you set your own benchmarks for yourself internally, then you can get all sorts of fabulous, juicy insights on how you can improve. So I encourage you to focus on your own data. There's so much to learn if you've been using email analytics from your own data. And your subscribers, you can learn so much about them from looking at your data. So for those 2 reasons, I'm going to really encourage you to focus on your own data. And when we're thinking about focusing on our own data, I'm going to introduce you to 2 different ways that you can do that. The first is the basic approach, and the second is what I call as the supercharged approach. So let's get into the basic approach. So in the basic approach, what you're going to do is start off by collecting all of the open to receive rates for all of the emails that you've sent. Now, if your email service provider provides you this information in a report, then that's great. If your email service provider does not, and actually quite a few do not, then you might need to calculate it yourself in a spreadsheet. No matter where you get it from, once you've calculated it, The easiest basic way to look at it is to sort all of your emails from highest open to receive rate at the top and lowest open to receive rate at the bottom. And again, this is all assuming that we're calculating the open to receive rates as I described in the beginning of this video. So once you have your email sorted by this open to receive rate, you can start looking at them because and trying to understand more about what in the subjects of these emails your subscribers are really resonating with, because the emails listed at the top of that list, they have the most effective subjects from the data that you've collected, and the emails at the bottom of the list would have the least effective subjects from the data that you've collected. So doing this process is, high level in terms of creating your list, sorting the list. The most effective emails are at the top, the least effective emails are at the bottom in terms of subject, because that's what the open to receive rate focuses on. But it does give you some insights. Now, as you may have gathered from me describing this process can be a little bit cumbersome, especially if your service provider does not report open to receive rates. And that's why I've developed a planning app and a planning process that in part reads your metrics in from your email service provider and about your subscribers' actions and presents the information in ways that are not available in standard reporting tools to help you create plans and automatically and quickly get the insights from your data. So here's an example of how I present that data, and this is a good transition into the supercharged approach. So instead of listing your emails, as I mentioned in the basic approach from low to high, I use probability and statistics, there goes that engineering PhD again, to look at the distribution of the open to receive rates, and I give each email a grade from A, B, C, D, and F. Probably a little bit more professor days coming back. So instead of a list, the planning app and the planning process will present you with a chart. If you are my client, with a chart like this with your email data, where each of your emails have been assigned a grade, and then we group the emails and present them here by grade. Okay. Where the A's are the best performing emails in this particular focus area here, the subject, and the F's are the least performing, and all the other letters fall in between. And being able to group your emails in these letter grades will help you gain some insights faster and easier, and I'll get to that in a moment. But before I do, I want to quickly review the two other ways that the planning process and the app that I've developed help you supercharge your analysis above and beyond the basic steps that I discussed earlier. So in addition to grouping your emails by these letter grades, the other thing that you get to do is segment and focus in on different subsets of or segments of your subscribers. So here we have listed all subscribers, but you also could look at your clients and your prospects and really any other segment that you are interested in exploring, and compare and contrast how your emails are resonating with the different groups of people that you're speaking with. And the last way you can supercharge your analysis is by focusing on emails with specific calls to action. So often when we're writing emails, it's great that people open them, it's great that people resonate, but we're also typically looking for them to do something, most likely a click. So here is where you can list all of the different calls to action that you're interested in focusing on, and then the analysis will be computed for emails that only include those calls to action. Okay, so all of these features, these three features in terms of assigning the letter grades, being able to zoom in based on subscriber segment, as well as look in terms of calls to action, all were created in an effort to make it easier for you to create and read your reports, as well as to make it easier for you to take action based on the data. So what do I mean by take action? And what do I mean by taking that action, turning that action into a plan and coming up with a plan for action is probably what I really mean to say, based on the data. So let's say, for example, you were armed with this chart, and this chart is fully focused on the subject line because the open to receive rate is targeted and directly measures the effectiveness of your subject lines. Once you have your emails in these buckets, these 5 different buckets, you can then begin to look at the subjects for each of the emails in each bucket and say, what's different about them? What makes an email subject for emails in category A different from the subjects in any other category? What are the similarities? And you can start to come up with policies and plans and structure around how your audience really resonates, what they resonate with you most, and come up with plans for how you can ensure you keep doing what's working, you're stopping what's not, and brainstorm new ideas that you might be able to try to see if they will resonate with your audience. And this type of analysis can be really helpful in creating plans and policies for you to move forward and templates. So for example, you could look at the structure of the subject lines. I know personally when I did this analysis for my own business, I realized that my recipients really resonated much more with questions in subject lines than anything else. And that's something I try to do as much as I can in every email I send now moving forward, because I'm armed with that information. You may also look at different elements of your subject line. Perhaps your audience really resonates when you include their first name or their company or other things you may know about them within a subject line. Perhaps not. So it all really depends on your subscribers and their data, and your email analytics is really the key for you to be able to pull out those insights so you can create those plans. So one last note, as we are trying new things and we're testing out new things, we're inspired based on the data, things will change and improve. So what may be an A email now, 6 months from now, may be a B email because you've gotten so much better and you're using what you've learned and you're improving it over and over and over and over again. So this is really a process of continuous improvement when you're using your email analytics. You get to observe what's happened in the past, take that information, apply it to what you're doing now, and then observe again and keep improving and keep moving forward. So I hope that this video has answered your question about what is a good open rate. I've tried to address it in 3 separate parts. The first part was to try to answer that question, what is an open rate? And there are many different open rates, but it's important to pay attention to the one that you use, especially if you're using reporting from your email service provider. And I recommend that you look at the open to receive rate. And what does that open to receive rate tell you about your email? It shares with you the effectiveness of the email subject. Okay, and then how can you use that information to identify which of your emails are good and which of your emails are bad when it comes to open rate? And in this section, I pointed out how it's always important to improve using your own data, that you can compare your open to receive rates, and that you can pull out information on which types of subjects, which attributes of subjects are effective with your audience and which ones aren't. And I also shared with you that the approach that I've developed and the app and the planning process I've developed can help you supercharge your analysis and create personalized data, or rather personalized plans from your data. So I really appreciate you watching this video. If you'd like to learn more, I encourage you to check out the free PDF guide on email analytics. The link is in the description, as well as I'd love for you to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Please click the subscribe button and feel free. I would also adore and love to hear your questions. I am really inspired by questions and I love answering them. So thank you for watching this video. Let me know if you have any questions and I hope you have a great day.